Welcome back to BBB Adventures and the Builder series at Frank's Place. This episode is a continuation of an effort we started on our last episode to refresh Luna, our 1962 Corvair Greenbrier camper van. We covered a lot of detail about Luna and our goals for this refresh in part 1, so if you haven't watched it, we recommend you go back and watch it. As a quick recap, we have a long list of updates including cleaning and resealing the powertrain, rebuilding the rear suspension and brakes, as well as rebuilding the front suspension and brakes. We also want to include some other functional and cosmetic updates. One of the challenges for this project is time. We want to get this work done before the National Corvair Convention, which starts on June 19th in Wisconsin. We got started on this project on April 7th by pulling the van on the lift and digging into the powertrain removal. When driving a 60-year-old car across the country, one must allow ample time, so we need to leave for Wisconsin by June 15th. This means we have a total of 69 days to complete our refresh list. While this may seem like a lot of time, we aren't able to work in the van all day, every day, so time really is our biggest challenge. This episode picks us up on April 8th as we evaluate the method by which we have the van jacked up on the lift and continue the removal of the powertrain assembly.
And then we're going to lower it so that it's partly supported by the jack stand, partly the jack. It'll take some stress off the wood. And the lift, it's not changing the force the lift's carrying at all. The lift still has the weight of the car. Now, I'm going to try to very carefully and slowly lower this.
Watch your head.
Okay, see now some of the weight's on the jack, some of it's on the jack stand. Get a little more on the jack stand. Yeah, that's perfect. So now I'm not worried about the wood, and I'm not necessarily worried about that structural number, so that's cool. And the same thing this side.
The furnace is running. Creating a lot of background noise. And we're waiting for this tire to come up off the ground. Okay. So now the van is being supported by the jack on the jack tray and the jack stand on the rail of the lift in 4 places.
It's gonna come off.
Should we have them turned?
Yeah, they look. We'll have to have them measured. I'm not sure they may have already been turned enough times. We have to replace them. But I'm not opposed to putting new ones on.
Brake pads look good.
This is the thing we have to pull out. So you go through here. If you look,
Yep, there's a bolt.
there's a bolt there. There's a bolt there. There's 4 bolts. We're gonna take those 4 bolts and then pull this whole thing that way. But I gotta get the brake drum off the other side.
And you already have them loosened up there? At the axle? At the transmission?
On that side I do, not on that side.
Taking the drinker side brake drum off isn't going as smoothly.
Well, it's because there's probably worn a little bit of a groove in the drum. So there's a tiny lip and the shoe's in the lip. So what I'm trying to avoid is backing off the brake shoes, but I don't think I'm gonna have a choice.
You adjusted the brakes the wrong way.
I made them tighter.
You made them tighter instead of looser.
Oh, no. Well, maybe I was going the right way, because now it feels worse. Doesn't it?
Now he doesn't know what he's doing.
That's a rude thing to say, really. I do know what I'm doing. That's how I know I'm doing it wrong. If I didn't know what I was doing, I wouldn't know I was doing it wrong. It's just plain old better.
Just set the light down.
Yeah, I got it. This is the right way. Now you got that shine on my face. I'm not sure why.
I'm trying not to have it shining in the camera's face because it makes for a bad
pretty
picture.
I am.
It seems stuck on this lug nut here.
Well, I think it's more likely. It's supposed to be a small clearance here. This is a tight tolerance so that it centers on the hub. So that the brake drum, if you go look at the other side, you can see that this thing is a datum point for the brake shoes. So the hub has a pretty tight, the brake drum has a pretty tight fit to the hub.
Which is a good idea. I've got a crowbar at home.
We have several of them over in the corner there.
Well, except you see it moving here.
I know.
I think it might. Do you think it's still the brake shoes?
No,
You don't?
no. Shoot some WT-40 there.
Here? Or
No,
here?
Here, there, yeah.
Yep, you're doing good, really. Yep. So maybe it's getting better.
Well, I pried on it, got my crowbar out, and I got it off.
Yay.
Why were you such a pain in the ass?
Because I'm 60 years old.
How much you got left?
Oh, the shoes look pretty good.
Yeah. I can do that.
Dropsies.
Ooh.
Now, somebody who's watching this is going to tell me that this socket isn't an impact rated socket. So you don't even need to put it in the comments, because I know.
Do you want 4 hands?
You know how I can grow an extra pair?
I have 2 over here I could lend you.
Octopus.
I actually don't know what I need. The backer plate for the brakes is sort of rusted onto the wheel bearing. That's what it looks like to me. So I just need to sort of do this.
Break it free.
Oh, there it goes. See, the wheel bearing was just sort of rusted to the backer plate.
Okay, good. Mission accomplished. That
You can see, because see this rivet? This is a factory Chevy rivet. And when you repack them, you drill those rivets out and you put a little nut and a bolt.
fitting.
Now you put a nut and a bolt to hold the plate back on. So
Okay.
the fact that this has still got the original rivet means these bearings have never been greased since Chevrolet put them on here.
Wow.
So these are really weird, unique.
It's like it's been reversed.
Well, yeah, because they wanted to use the same transmission as a front engine car, but
Yeah.
so first of all, the Corvair engine runs backwards from every other engine. And then the crankshaft and clutch assembly is connected to a solid shaft that goes through the center of the differential
That's just strange.
into the transmission and drives the transmission. So the transmission thinks it operates the same as it would a car that had a drive shaft coming from the front. But the drive shaft just comes from the back through the center of the transmission.
Wow.
And then it back drives the transmission, which then drives the differential.
That one came out much nicer.
Oh, I really should have loosened these up. That would have been smart, because now.
When you had the wheels on still?
Yeah. Now that we got the drive shafts pulled, I got to go through the checklist, but I think I've got everything disconnected. but I wanted to drain the oil while it's convenient because I got to drop this pan. And when I replaced the O-rings on the push rod tubes, of course, if it had oil in it, it'd be spilling everywhere. So I wanted to get the oil out while it's convenient. And now I got to put this, I'm going to put this hose clamp down around that screw and hope that that
Keeps the gasoline in there?
keeps all the gas molecules where they belong. It's sure fun. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's really,
You're having a blast.
yeah, I gotta find another little screw for that. But I guess.
If you didn't love doing this, why would you buy a 1962 automobile?
Fuel
Both
line.
fuel lines are disconnected now.
Yeah, both fuel lines.
Brantley just commented about how we'll have to one day put this all back together.
Yeah, that's the fun part.
But it's going to be so much cleaner. All that oil's going to be cleaned off of it.
Yeah,
Parts are going to look shiny new.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it'll be more better.
More better for surezies.
So we're lowering the van.
I got a couple more things on top I gotta do.
What else you got to do?
You gotta take the oil filler assembly, this thing, see? This was not gonna clear this as this thing goes straight down.
Sure isn't.
Sure isn't.
I needed to find a new bed for the shop dog because the shop manual just wasn't cutting it. Especially when I needed to read it. Okay, next is pull U-joints from differential carrier. We've done that.
I do believe we're ready to take this engine out here, but because we're up this high, my engine stand is nowhere near tall enough. Well, we could drop the car.
No, don't
We
do
can lower
that.
the car. Why not? Look how much space we can lower the car. We can lower
Because
the
that
car.
would make me really nervous.
Oh. Let me tell you, that's a way better answer than trying to build this up and having this be unstable. Our only other choice is to make this thing, close this gap between here and there, or build a platform that this sits on that you then roll it off of or something. But this thing has to touch that thing. You see?
Yeah.
So tight. There.
Are you okay? Okay. Talk to the camera about what happened. It was rolling, but it wasn't
Well, this
pointed.
board broke. This board I had holding up the jacks. And so it fell and landed on the jack stands, just as designed. It looks like it also hit that, but that's okay. But
This is why I worry about things. We gotta make this taller so it can meet the engine at a more reasonable distance before we lower the engine onto it.
see, I'm just gonna do this. I'm gonna put this here. Then I'm gonna put a 2x4 on the inside between here and here to give it stability. That was exciting, wasn't it? When the van fell.
The look on Mary Beth's face was, I wished I could have captured that.
I just about did.
I really thought that plywood was stronger than that. Obviously, a 4x4 would have been better. Or a piece of steel. Hi, Disco Doggy. Hi, Disco Doggy. What is it you need? What is it you need? You want to come up here? Get into action? Is it beer 30 yet?
No, you gotta have that engine out. where you can,
That's true.
remedy.
That's true. You see, poor Red Dragon gets all the sawdust.
Yes, I did notice the poor red dragon gets all the sawdust.
I'm gonna do two at a time.
So the cart that he's got under the engine now was designed specifically for the Corvair engine and drivetrain. And he's got to line up the 2x4s with the parts of the motor that can hold its weight.
Okay, is it centered? Left to right?
No, it needs to go to the left a little bit.
Tell me when it gets close to touching.
It's close to touching. It's just tall enough, isn't it? At least taking the engine mount bolts off now.
Should. Let's see how that's possible.
Bradley's worried about the center of gravity on the cart with the engine. He's a little concerned that the engine might tip the cart forward.
Yes.
What?
It's a through bolt and the top of it's spinning.
Oh.
Need light. Here's one. Oh, I can probably. Oh, this seems like a better way to get to
You
it.
still need light though. I see it dropping down.
Where's it dropping down?
Or the car going up. I see separation.
Okay.
The engine's on the dolly.
I think so.
Well, I'm gonna tickle this just a little bit and see what happens.
Yep. Yeah.
What is it?
I don't know. It's coming up here.
About the pressure?
Yes.
What was it?
Well, the engine is moving up with the car.
Oh. Yeah.
It's not sitting on the cart anymore. It's not sitting on the cart anymore.
Oops.
Okay.
Oh, okay. The side of the head.
We got to get this muffler hanger off. It bolts to the side of the head. But other than that, the engine is... The van has been relieved of its engine.
If you didn't have this lift, how the hell would you have done it?
Well, you'd be crawling underneath the car 50 times. You know?
The offending bracket has been removed. It took some work, didn't it?
Did.
What'd you have to do?
I ended up taking the shroud loose. Took this shroud loose and was able to wiggle it off. Whew. There was a...
That probably took 30 minutes.
I don't hear any crunches.
Is that clear now?
No, it's gonna hit here.
That's rubber.
Okay. No, just the rubber gasket. Well, there's it.
One more notch.
There's a Corvair motor out of the vehicle.
Well, that was a lot of work, and we had one
Near disaster.
not so good thing happen, but I don't think there's any permanent damage to anything. So the next step is to lighten the thing up. I gotta take the generator off, all the shrouds, the carburetors, the top shroud, the fan. I'm gonna try to lighten this thing while it's in this state. And then we're gonna have to take all the bolts that hold the bell housing to the engine block, or the bell housing to the transfer, the thing,
Transmission?
the differential,
Differential.
and separate the engine from the differential and transmission assembly. And then I can get the engine up on an engine stand, and then I can do all the things that need to do to the engine.
This is the differential. This is the bell housing. We have to separate it here. Is this the transmission?
Yes,
This is going to be separated from this.
that's correct.
Just go see his reflection in the car.
Getting the powertrain assembly out of Luna was a big milestone and kicks off a bunch of little projects that we need to get done to complete our overall refresh task list. This is where we're going to end part 2 of the Luna refresh. We appreciate you following along, and if you aren't subscribed to BBB Adventures, please consider hitting the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Please stay tuned for the next episode of the Builder series at Frank's Place, when we remove the rear suspension and run into our next issue. See you on Saturday for episode 40 of the Apollo mission. Enjoy the ride.